Residents observing a quiet majority rule holiday. Corporate citizens singled out for the Caring Awards. And students hoping for a fresh start in the workplace.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Natalia Hall. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today marks the 51st anniversary of majority rule in the country. The historic event back on January 10th, 1967 brought about a shift of power from the white minority to the black majority. During an address in the nation's capital last night, Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis said majority rule is a day that belongs to all Bahamians. We have reaction tonight from residents on what majority rule means to them. Our Sabrina Brown reports.
The historic event on January 10, 1967, ushered in a free, modern, and democratic society. The birth of a new Bahamas where all Bahamians would have constitutional, political, social, cultural, and economic rights. Residents on Grand Bahama reflected on the significance of this evolution in Bahamian history.
I remember my mother and father screaming their heads off, and all of us as little children just jumping up and down in Culmusville, just having a real good time. We didn't understand what it meant then, but we were happy because they were happy. But as I got older and understood what it meant, I thank God for this day.
I think it's a significant historical event that happened, and I don't think that there's an appreciation for what has happened. I mean, you know, a lot of the younger generation was not educated properly as it relates to what has happened and the struggle.
I believe it's a blessing in disguise for our people, wake up our people, to see how we can control our country. And of course, my aunt was one of those persons who was very instrumental, Doris Johnson. Okay, she was very instrumental in bringing majority rule for women to vote. Okay,
we're making some progress in the Bahamas in terms of the minority being the majority.
Violet Stubbs recalls the days of segregation under the then governing United Bahamian Party.
I remember walking down Bay Street, going to the movies, and Mommy saying to me, "You can't go in that one because that's not for your color. You have to go further down the road." And my feet used to be hurting me in those days. We had to walk so far to get to a place that we could sit down comfortably because of the color of our skin. And so I thank God for this day, okay? And I thank God that the Bahamas is of such now that it's equal opportunity for every single Bahamian.
The former educator vividly remembers challenges in an area that's close to her heart.
Back in my day, only a small percentage of children ever passed what we knew as the common entrance exam, and I happened to be one of them, but so many children weren't able to get full education because they couldn't pass that exam. And so since that day to now, we have grown by leaps and bounds, and any Bahamian who apply themselves can make it in this nation.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
The opposition, the Progressive Liberal Party, celebrating majority rule this past Sunday during a service of Thanksgiving at Jubilee Cathedral. There, Deputy Leader of the PLP and Member of Parliament for Exuma and Ragged Island, Chester Cooper, urged the nation to remember the sacrifices of those brave Bahamians who were involved in the struggle and who helped to make majority rule possible.
Linden, Preston Aubrey, Clarence Bain, Milo Butler, Clifford Darling, Elwood Donaldson, Arthur Folks, Carlton Francis, Arthur Harner, Warren Lavarity, Curtis Macmillan, Uriah McPhee, Maurice Moore, Edmund Moxie, Jimmy Shepard, George Thompson, Jeffrey Thompson, and Cecil Wallace Whitfield were joined by Sir Randall Fox and Sir Alvin Brennan, banded together to usher in majority rule in 1967. And we must give credit to the men and women who laid their lives on the line.
Cooper reminding those in attendance that Bahamians are resilient people, urging them not to lose heart because the country has experienced tough times before.
Remember that we have been much farther away from victory than this. We have seen darker days than this. Remember that we have been much farther away from social, political, and economic transformation than this. And while we continue to fight, we should always remember to be thankful for where God has brought us from, where God has brought this nation from, how God has advanced our people.
Switching gears now, police are continuing investigations into the recent homicides recorded this year. Tonight, officials are renewing the appeal for information on the whereabouts of two men that they want to question on the charge of murder. 28-year-old Jamal Penn, alias Tony Smith of Heron Lane, Freeport, Grand Bahama, also frequents Bimini and New Providence. He is described as 5 feet 10 inches tall, 140 pounds with dark brown eyes, medium brown complexion, and average build. 26-year-old Jotico Michael Newbold of St. Albans Place, Lakaya, is also wanted by police. He is 5 feet 9 inches tall, 145 pounds, dark brown eyes, medium brown complexion, and slim build. Now, both men are considered armed and extremely dangerous. If you have any information on the whereabouts of these two men, you should contact 350-3107-12, 911, 919, or contact your nearest police station. Police are lamenting the amount of illegal firearms on the streets. The past 3 murders recorded on Grand Bahama, like most of the homicides in the country, were committed with the use of illegal firearms. Assistant Commissioner of Police responsible for crime management, Clayton Fernanda, noting during a press conference that police have identified a number of areas that may be connected to the trafficking of illegal weapons.
We have taken a lot of weapons off the street and charge a number of persons. We are working closely with our U.S. counterpart because we know a lot of weapons are coming in from the U.S. You have a lot of areas we have identified that is coming in. So we're going to take an aggressive approach to firearm traffickers because the weapons are being used in the commission of a number, or just about all of 99% of the murders that occurred is the use of weapons, and other serious crime, the armed robberies, the weapons is used. So it's going to be, we're going to go all out, and we have identified a number of firearm traffickers, and they won't sleep this year.
ACP Fernandez says police are working along with the Customs Department, and another matter of concern for police is gang-related illegal activity involving young men throughout the nation.
We have communicated with the team down here, and we have our intel on the ground, and that is telling us just that you are seeing the young men are getting involved in gang activity. So that is, we are addressing that. And we're going to try to save some of the young men. We're going to try to take it into school because you find what I call the senior criminals will recruit the youngsters who are dropouts of school and get them involved and put a gun in their hand and instruct them to go and kill this one and the next one. But we have identified that trend, and we're going to disrupt that. And we're going to try to save some of the youngsters who are out there.
Now, police are relying on the public's assistance when necessary to bring resolution as they work toward a safer Bahamas. Well-known pastor Bishop Godfrey Williams addressing the current state of crime on Grand Bahama during a service this past Sunday. He says the time has come for the church to unite as the church has an important role to play in the fight against crime.
Everyone has the right to live. So that's why God is depending on us, because churches are popping up all over the place every week. But we need to have more impact in this society, man. Churches are opening, you can't hardly find place to rent. Churches on every block. So in all the churches, this crime ought to stop. And that's why God is still speaking to us. And I'm the first to say, as he said to me, we are the ones who have the drain clog up.
Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition continues in just a moment.